Dion Fortune, Through the Gates of Death. Chapter 4, The Overcoming of Grief. The way which we face bereavement is one of the greatest tests of our spiritual understanding. Our attitudes towards the death of the body, whether our own or that of one dear to us, depends on what we really believe life to be. Do we, in our hearts, look upon the physical body as the real man, and all that it means to us upon the physical plane as constituting our relationship with the soul we love, incarnated in that body? Then how can we do otherwise than lament our irreparable loss when death breaks the frail vessel that holds over our loved one? But do we actually know, from our experience of inner things, that man is a spiritual being, eternal and immortal? Then we shall be able to look beyond the death of the body and go to the life that is hid with Christ in God. There is more than one kind of love, and bereavement will reveal which kind is ours. The lowest kind of love is more of a hunger than anything else. We hunger for affection and care for attention, suddenly thrown upon our own resources by bereavement. We feel the pangs of emotional starvation. Another kind of love, and one that is not so very much higher than the obviously selfish kind, relieves an emotional tension by pouring out demonstrative affection and service upon the beloved one, without stopping to inquire too closely what his needs may be. This kind of love, suddenly denied its outlet and thrown back upon itself, shakes the nature to its foundations and is responsible for many breakdowns after bereavement. It may seem a strange thing to say, but true love is not emotional in its nature, but is an attitude of the soul towards life. True love is a spiritual radiation like sunlight, and like the sun it shines upon the evil and the good, the just and the unjust, not blind to their condition, but loving them just the same. This is the noblest love, and it has healing in its wings. True love proceeds from a loving nature, not from stimulated emotions. It is the only kind which will make for happiness in marriage or any other relation of life. And it is not this kind of love that leads to mental breakdowns and extremities of grief when the beloved is removed by death. It is true there must always be shock and emptiness when one upon whose love we have lent for years is taken from us. For the whole life must be readjusted, but the shocks should not be such a nature as to bring the whole structure of existence crashing down. If it does this, we may know that we have broken the second commandment. We have made a graven image and worshipped it, instead of knowing and serving the one true God. There can be but one true center of life, and that is God. We may have companions and dear comrades upon this path of life, but life itself has only one center. If the hub of a wheel is anywhere save the exact center, the wheel is out of true and useless. We and our loved ones are like spokes in the wheel of life, but for both of them and us in the hub should be God. When we try to throw the weight of our life upon one spoke instead of upon the hub, we are making a radical mistake, a mistake that throws us all out of balance upon all planes. If we and those we love are God-centered, death will bring no sense of inner isolation, for we shall know that they have gone on ahead for us to the goal at which we were mutually aiming. If they were to return to us after they have passed over, they would say, as did the risen Christ to the disciples who were mourning his loss, Lo, I go before you into Galilee. Those who are united in spirit, death is but a temporary severance. There must be loneliness, and there must be burdens to be shouldered alone that were once shared by the other. But there is not that sense of spiritual annihilation which devastates those who have laid up their treasure where moth and rust is corrupt. It is this inner certainty of an enduring bond for which is the sheet anchor in times of bereavement. For many, it is certainly which no materialistic philosophy, no logical demonstration of morality can affect. They may not understand the grounds upon which their certainty rests. To them, it may be a blind belief, admittedly illogical. Nevertheless, it is there, a fact of the inner life. A mystic, however, with this knowledge of the inner planes, is able to explain this feeling and show that it is a true psychic intuition, and by no means illogical. On the inner planes, there is neither time nor space as we understand it. We are near to those whom we are in emotional rapport, and far from those with whom we are emotionally out of tune. When there is a real tuning of two souls, they are literally together on the inner planes, where to be in one mind is to be in one place. Do we not know only too well that it is impossible to share bed and board, and yet be as apart as the stars? Equally, is it a fact of inner experience that if there is a true spiritual union, we remain in touch wherever our bodies may be? If we observe life, we shall see how true this is. There is a subtle difference between a man or a woman who is well and truly mated and one who is not. They need not be together for this to be apparent, for it is subtle psychological difference, and separation does not affect it. The man or the woman who loves and is loved retains that sense of spiritual fulfillment even when separated for long periods. It is well known to psychologists that the lack of this mating, which is called by esotericists polarization, is responsible for many nervous illnesses, and that these can occur even in marriage if there is no spiritual affinity and companionship. If we continue to be loved and be loved, even after the loss of the loved one, the spiritual widowing does not occur, and we are not left unmated. The intangible influence of the love continues to make itself felt, and the personality remains polarized. The bond of the physical union weakens with the passing of youth. The bond of emotional union is broken with the withdrawal of the personality from physical sight. But the bond of spiritual union survives all severances, whether of space or time, and continues to inspire and protect both those who are held in its tie, upon whatever plane it may be. The bond of spiritual union reveals itself in a common idealism, a comradeship in the things of the spirit. Where this exists, it will endure as long as the spirit endureth, for it is as eternal as God who gave it. The spiritual communion continues uninterruptedly through the death of the body and all the after-death experiences with the soul. It needs no psychic powers to bring it within reach of mundane consciousness. It is like the sound of a brook. We may not hear it when we are busy with the toil of affairs, but in the quiet of the night, when all sounds are stilled, we hear the purl of the running water going steadily on, hour after hour, and we know that it has been sounding all day, although we have not heard it. When spiritual love is coming to us from the inner planes, we have only to still the outer senses for a moment to hear the purling like a brook, a steady flow, coming to us all the time from the eternal and steadfast soul which has gone on ahead of to the next country. And we on our side, if we still love, may send out an equally steady flow to comfort our beloved. Let us therefore gather up all our courage so that the brook of love may not carry the debris of dead hopes on to the inner planes, to be perceived psychically by our loved one to his distress. Let us keep our hopes alive by working for the ideals that were dear to us both, so that we can make a channel through which those ideals may still come to fruition. For our comradeship with our beloved can continue in this path of service.